comes to progressing the plank, we have several tools at our disposal in order to do so. And what I'm going to do in this video is just demonstrate a couple ways to make the traditional plank just that little bit harder. All right, now our first option that we go with our clients in progressing a static plank would be elevation. So, while the regular plank's held on the floor, what we're going to do is just put the client's feet up on a box. And we can actually do mini progressions by just raising the level of the box up to a decent level. You could start maybe on a small Reebok step and then move to the highest setting as you go along. As the client becomes more proficient in these exercises, you can even progress advanced variations by, putting the feet on a back step during something like a plank to push up, or maybe, a plank walkout. All right, our next variation that we can utilize to make this harder is by lessening the base of support. So if a typical plank occurs on 4 legs, we can simply move to 3. Okay, and this is really a good thing to do because it helps to target each quadrant of the core. One of our favorite exercises at Peak Fitness is, we call it a around the world plank, where the client is literally going around the world, kind of alternating extremities. You can choose to do that with movement, or you can simply just hold kind of in the area of need. All right, our third progression, and one of my favorites, is actually external load. I've got a 10-pound plate here. Don't want to go too heavy with this, but what we can do is simply just put this on the client's back, have them hold in this position. And as they become more proficient with planking, we can actually make them do things like moving, coming up into a push-up, walking in and out. The beauty of this is, if they screw up, if they start to rotate excessively, that thing's falling off. So it's a great awareness tool. Whereas we'll sometimes put like a water bottle on the client's back, a 10-pound plate really kind of helps them to visualize it a little bit better. Okay, our final progression, and what we like to do after our client has kind of gone through our traditional set and rep progression. So if we start with maybe 8 reps of a moving plank or a plank matrix in week 1, and we go to 12 by week 3 or 4, we'll create what is called a density circuit. So instead of saying, okay, I want you to do 3 sets of 8 to 12 of these 3 planks, we're going to ask the client to we're going to set the clock for 5 minutes, and we're going to ask the client perform as many rounds as possible in that time. What that does is it helps to turn a simple planking workout into almost a metabolic workout, or a density-based situation where the client's able to get in more work in the same amount of time, and they can see the progression themselves. So what I would do is I'd program maybe a frontal plank followed by 2 side plank variations. So in this example, I would just set my clock here for 5 minutes. And I would say, I'm going to ask the client to perform a plank to push-up, followed by a side plank pulse on each side. 5 reps of each exercise, as many rounds as they can do in that amount of time. So, push start here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Going into the pulse. And then just immediately moving to the other side. Well, that's a great way to progress the plank. The one thing to be careful with the plank, or with the density circuit, is speed. Because we're trying to activate stabilizing muscles here, we want the client to move slowly enough to where they're feeling it in the core versus the extremities. If they're moving too quickly, they tend to lose form, and that's certainly not what we're going for with this. So be sure to instruct your client to move slowly enough to where they're able to maintain the proper position of their back, no excessive rotation or arching or dipping. And if you start to see that, if they start to fatigue, then it's time to shut that circuit down. So those are your plank progressions, and that is the article.